Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 signs that you struggle with social anxiety. Before I begin though, I want to clarify that there are obviously many signs that indicate that you'd have social anxiety, but these are the 5 signs that I chose according to my knowledge and experience in this subject. This list is by no means exhaustive, and you should always consult a mental health professional in order to be diagnosed properly. So please don't take this video as me giving you a medical or psychological diagnosis. This is only my own view and speculation. So let's get started. First, let me define what social anxiety is. According to the American Psychological Association, APA, social anxiety is, quote, fear of social situations in which embarrassment may occur, e.g., making conversation, meeting strangers, dating, or there is a risk of being negatively evaluated by others, e.g., seen as stupid, weak, or anxious. Social anxiety involves apprehensiveness about one's social status, role, and behavior. When the anxiety causes an individual significant distress or impairment in functioning, a diagnosis of social phobia or social anxiety may be warranted. End quote. So a lot to tackle there, but to put it more simply, what are the 5 signs that could indicate you have social anxiety? Here they are. Sign number 1, you are overly concerned about what other people think of you. This is related to low self-esteem, but not always. People who care too much about what others think of them oftentimes have identity issues, which is not exactly the same thing as being socially anxious. The difference is in the level of caring about the opinions of others. A socially anxious person is focusing on very tiny things like how they come across, the way they look and talk, and generally assuming others are judging them based on very minute details. In other words, it's more similar to paranoia than an identity issue that is deeply embedded and speaks to a more fundamental struggle. That's not it. A socially anxious person struggles with perfectionism when it comes to behaving around others, and they have a strong feeling that others are constantly monitoring them, when in reality, most people are just living in their own worlds. Sign number 2, your muscles tense up around other people. Whenever you are socially anxious, notice your body. This technique is called grounding. It means you're taking time to tune into what your bodily sensations are, especially during an anxious moment. Usually, during those moments, your muscles would be tense. Some of the muscles that tense up when you're anxious are your neck, arms, and chest, and maybe other ones too. You start to become rigid and feel frozen, almost as if you can't move. Even though movement of others is unrelated to you, somehow seeing them move makes you feel less confident to be relaxed and just be yourself. So watch for the muscle tension when you are feeling anxious, and learn to ground yourself in order to lessen the tension. Sign number 3, you start to overthink and ruminate. Usually, this is a sign of being nervous and overly self-conscious. When our minds start to race, we become physiologically hyper-aroused, causing us to be emotionally distressed and putting us in a fight or flight situation. When in this situation, it's hard to think and behave rationally, so we're more likely to become impulsive and make the wrong decision. It's important to take a step back when we feel this way and relax. Take a few deep breaths and then proceed with whatever choice you need to make. Deep breathing has been shown to slow down rumination since it calms down your nervous system and oxygen flows more normally in your bloodstream. Sign number 4. You start to sweat, especially in your palms. Sweating is a sign of nervousness. When someone is sweating in a social situation, granted that they're not standing in 100-degree Fahrenheit weather, it means that they are nervous. Sometimes that's normal, but when you notice this happening frequently, it means that you possibly struggle with social anxiety. Whenever you start sweating in a social situation, make sure to ground yourself, as usual, and take some deep breaths. It's usually useless to run away from a social situation unless you really feel it's the best move. Generally, you want to make sure you're breathing normally and deeply in order to reduce your physiological arousal, which is causing your sweating and social anxiety. And lastly, sign number 5, you can't form coherent sentences and phrases. Again, this goes hand in hand with being nervous and ruminating. When you're not thinking clearly, you become unable to form coherent sentences and will just either not say much by giving 1 or 2 word answers or just be rambling on and on. So it's just those two extremes. A person who isn't socially anxious is able to maintain their composure generally and articulate themselves well. A person who's socially anxious constantly stumbles over their words and is just unable to think clearly. Quick note before I end this video. Just because you have social anxiety, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means you're struggling, and that's okay. Just make sure to see a professional if your anxiety is extremely unmanageable in order to get the proper assistance to help you overcome it. Simply toughing it out isn't going to work long term, so make sure to work smarter, not harder. So that's it for this video. If you like this content, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and share to get notified about more videos like this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.